All right, welcome back to Great Day Washington. Parents, you might want to listen to this, or maybe you're already feeling the pinch, but according to care.com's annual cost of care report, child care costs have continued to rise for the 10th year in a row.
That's right, and Washington, D.C. tops the list. We spoke with Bryan Jamele from care.com about what this means and how we can handle the high costs of child care.
Our cost of care report is our annual analysis of child care cost trends across the United States. And what it does is really just show the overall impact on American families. What we found over the last 10 years, because we've been doing this report for 10 years, so we've been looking at these trends for a decade, is that virtually all families are going to face at least one child care hurdle. And whether that's access to child care, the availability of child care, or of course, the cost of care. And some families are going to face all three of those hurdles. But the common thread that we found, no matter what hurdle families are facing, is this: childcare is unaffordable for the majority of American families.
Right, and can you elaborate just a little bit more on that finding that D.C. in particular ranks among the highest as the cost of childcare?
Absolutely. It will come as no surprise to the parents tuning in today from D.C. that D.C. is the highest cost area in the country for childcare. We're looking at about $900 a week for a nanny, about $200 a week for a babysitter, and about $400 a week for daycare. And that's about $100 more than the second highest area of the country, and that's the state of Massachusetts, another high cost area, of course, but DC is more expensive there.
Wow.
And so we really need to have a focus on this to find solutions to address these cost issues.
Why, I mean, there's a lot of things that are more expensive here in DC, but why is the cost of care in general so high?
Yeah, it really comes down to economics. It's simply a matter of supply and demand. If you look at the childcare sector pre-pandemic, you had historically low wages anyways. You had a lack of focus on career growth opportunities for the caregiving workforce. You had a lack of focus on professionalization of that workforce. And then the pandemic hit, and that just exacerbated all of those foundational cracks that were in the sector.
Sure.
And so what we're seeing post-pandemic is the result of the pre and during pandemic issues, and that is that everything has been upended. We have higher costs for care. We had a number of daycare centers closed down during the pandemic. And what we're seeing and what families are seeing is long wait lists for access to some of these daycare centers. And so they're looking for other care options, and specifically they're looking for a little bit and choice in their care options, especially as we're in more of a hybrid work environment now.
Sure. So what are some solutions that you're offering for parents who are, dealing with these high costs right now?
Yeah, so there's three main things that I would say to parents that they could look at to help reduce the cost of care. And the first thing is get knowledgeable about the cost of care, right? Know what the costs are in your area. On care.com's website, we have an updated cost of care calculator. And specifically for nannies and babysitters, parents can go in and plug in their area and get kind of a rundown of what those costs are and compare those to similar cities in Maryland or Virginia and just get a sense of what that impact's going to be for them. Secondly, look into the Child and Dependent Care Tax Credit. There are a number of tax programs that are out there that can help parents reduce the cost of care, and that's one of them. And they can end up saving quite a bit of money for the cost of care there. And then lastly, and another tax program related, look into workplace benefits. A number of employers offer dependent care assistance to their employee base. And whether that's through subsidizing care or offering backup care when your normal care falls through, it's generally available. And so look into that. And then another tax program and tool that's available through employers is a dependent care flexible spending account. And those are only offered if the employer decides to offer that to the employees. So if the employees are lucky enough. But that's a great tool for families as well to offset the cost of care and pre-tax dollars and setting that aside.
And then real quick, we're paying so much money for childcare. We want to make sure we're getting good quality childcare. How do we vet who we're going to, who we're looking at, the babysitters we're getting? You guys help with that.
We do. I can speak to our platform at care.com. Certainly, we have vetted and background check caregivers. We have access to, we encourage that kind of initial conversation among the families and the providers, and they make the determination on whether or not that's a good fit for their family to bring that person into their home in this instance. And so that's really important to do that, and that's kind of universal across the child care sector. It's critical that you have those vetted caregivers. These are our most vulnerable people in our lives, children,
Absolutely.
sometimes seniors, and certainly persons with disabilities. So we want to make sure that
It can be overwhelming, so it's nice to have the resources out there. Brian, thank you so very much. Great information as always.
Yeah, thank
Great
you
tips.
both so much.
Thank you.
It's crazy. No surprise that DC's at the top,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you remember having 3 young kids growing up.
I was that working mom having small children in the District of Columbia and having to get a nanny, and it was very expensive. And then you have another child, and then now you're like, you have to make decisions. What
Yeah.
can I do? Because it's very expensive.
And only going up
And that
and
was
up.
years ago. And then
Right.
this report just came out. So, I mean, it just continues to skyrocket. So,
Great thing is there are great resources out there. You can check out the cost of care report and the cost calculator at care.com.